Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and as usual thanks to my Patreons for supporting this channel. Now today, we will take a look at the many weapons of Overlord, and we will start from the weakest to the strongest kind. Now at the bottom, or perhaps even beneath, we will find quote-unquote normal weapons, things that would work in our own world, without any magic, levels or other modifications to the physique of essentially the entire plane of existence. And the most notable example of them would be the spear, a weapon that has accompanied us throughout our own history and that even in a world of might and magic still has its place and a massive user base. Almost the entire peasant army of the kingdom, well, the former kingdom of Rarity, was armed with them, and the reason for it is fairly simple. They are just hundreds of thousands of conscripted farmers without any military experience. In kind, a wooden spear is easy to produce, to replace, and its incredible ease of use makes the spear perfectly suited. Its long reach, especially compared to the sword of the Imperial Legions, its use against mounted knights, and its incredible ease of use are the reasons why wooden spears without a hint of metal are still standard arms. Because even Philippe would understand the concept of stabbing things with the pointy end. And the same basic logic applies to most unenchanted weapons. Swords are great against multiple unarmored targets that lack the means to penetrate the armor of dismounted knights, which is why they are standard arms in the Baharut Legion. On a similar note, the pole arms employed by the halberdiers of the, let's call it the elite force of the kingdom, can penetrate the protecting armor of Imperial knights, while still profiting from the greater reach. Simple bows can be constructed from basically anything a rural village would have access to, and thus even the still recovering citizens of Karn had the means to craft this weapon, and the instructor to train them. Now all of these weapons have a few things in common, and an abundance of raw material for them. None of these weapons require superhuman strength, durability, or precision to wield. And none of these weapons grants its users any benefits aside from their physical properties. And I'm mentioning this because the next kind of weapon does. Enchanted weapons are way beyond anything normal medieval societies or indeed our own high-tech civilization could produce. By adding tier, wild or runecraft magic to it, the weapons can defy the laws of physics. And the first two magical properties are universal present among all enchanted weapons. They will never take minor damages. Don't get me wrong, they can still be destroyed or damaged, but the threshold for it is incredibly high. Therefore they are easier to maintain, clean, and will always be able to function at peak efficiency. Nea, while cleaning the gear of the paladins of the Holy Kingdom back when she was just a squire, remarked all of this, and she personally got to enjoy the second awesome ability of these weapons, Einzelgaun, after destroying Buzzer, a, from his perspective, incredible weak goat-like demi-human, stripped him of his gear, and despite the demi-human towering over the Sorcerer King himself, Nea, who was granted his equipment, was able to put it on without any problems. This is because magical gear will match its size and form to any being who wield it. Therefore, gear and weapons wielded by a towering demi-human can be worn by a rather petite squire, and the weapon of the great mighty Gu be used by the far smaller goblin leader Yugem. The only restriction that applies to equipment stuff are the minimal requirements, so soulbound objects, gear with high stats or level requirements, or things like the guild weapon of Nazarick can't be equipped by just anybody. Besides Inferior, who has a talent that lets him use any item he wishes. All of this means that every magic item is incredibly versatile and can be exchanged or looted across species. And remember, these two things are just the mundane standard effects of magical weapons, and yet they have million more. How about a weapon that floats behind you and attacks any enemy in close proximity, thus pulling a "no, you" on any backstabber? Or a floret that is able to rip your arm open with a deep gushing wound just by stabbing your fingertips? Or perhaps a set of dagger able to quite literally suck the blood out of its victims. Or perhaps an item that robs you of your higher brain functions and turns you into a living, breathing, magical lightning rod. However, while magic weapons and items are incredibly powerful, they are also fairly rare and can't be mass-produced by any New World faction. Even the considerably well-off Empire did not hand out enchanted weapons to every one of its soldiers, but only a select few elites. And outside of its paladin order, the troops of the Holy Kingdom are largely comprised of a citizen militia, and even most normal adventurers, despite earning quite the handsome sum of money, can barely afford healing potions, much less being equipped head to toe in magical items, weapons and armor, considering that even the heads, well, former heads of the safety division of the Eight Fingers, a nation-spanning criminal syndicate, barely had more than 2 of them on their persons. To exemplify this, in the kingdom's capital a normal healing potion of the first tier would cost around 2 gold pieces, and a scroll with the same healing effect 1 gold pieces and 10 silver. Because not anybody can use a scroll, but everybody can use a potion. And in Irantel, where lots of potion shops are located, the prices for a low-grade healing potion would be around 1 gold during the time between the annual wars. Their prices, due to the decrease in demand, are probably quite low, but even though the potion was at the comparably low price of 1 gold, it required Britta, an iron-ranked adventurer, 3 whole months of saving and skipping meals just to afford it. Which means that gear which would sustainably heal its wearer would be akin to a national treasure. Which it actually is, namely the Amulet of Immortality, part of the 5 treasures of the Kingdom of Rhea's Ties. Gazev Stronov and Brain Anglos are equipped with the 5 treasures, probably the equivalent of 1000 Imperial Knights. But then again, the kingdom had just 1 set of armor to spare. However, Nazarick doesn't have these problems. Not only is Einzelgorn able to create items out of thin air and mana, he also has whole item stashes filled to the absolute brim with magic weapons and items. And even relic type of gear, trash drops in his eyes, would be considered to be at least on par with the Holy Kingdom's legendary blade of Zarfalisia. But it has to be said that Nea's bow is not only effective against those with evil karma. Furthermore, Nea Baraya got her own physical strength enhanced just by wielding the bow bestowed by Ainz. And together with the rest of her New World equipment, she was able to take down powerful demi-humans and their meat shields in single hits, while in turn being able to tank a ballista shot. And with bow and gear of even higher tier, Nea would have been easily able to defend the entire town on her own. And again, this is just the beginning. Nazarick has the ability to equip thousands of skeleton soldiers, like for example the Nazarick Old Guardes, with magical weapons. And with Elder Lich is able to cast spells of negative energy, which will heal the undead. The whole army is an undying perpetual as far as the New World is concerned. And these are just the foot soldiers. And when we are talking about Nazarick's magical arsenal, the entire vault, despite its immensity, is so overstocked with weapons and gold that they are just piled up in the center of the entry. Every item shown here could at least be worth an entire kingdom, considering that those New Worlders who could get their hands on them would be able to form, buy, or conquer one of their own. But within its deepest reaches, Nazarick's vault holds true treasure of the highest tier, and I'm not talking about Pandora's Nectar. The vaults are decorated with the mightiest weapons of the guild. All of them are not designed with practicality in mind. In fact, most of them are so over-designed that they can't even be sheeted. But yet, thanks to their intrinsic power, these god-tier items are lighter, faster, stronger, and far more precise than mere spears designed with function over form could ever hope to be. It would be correct to state that these weapons are more crystallized power than physical objects, from Peroroncino's bow with threads of light, to the blood-sucking meat devourer, to the god-tier gear that is Shaltir's lance. They are all so rare and valuable that most level 100 Yggdrasil players don't even have one single piece of equipment of equal rarity and power. And last but not least, we have the world items. And I made an entire video series about them already. Link is in the description. And with that said, thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Adam J, Al Capone, Andy, Angel of Death, Bad Guy Yee, Boyzilla, Chrissy, Diabetic Centaur, Dystopia, Elika Birchleaf, Phalis Catus, Feral Shivan, Gigafight, Ghost of Epicness, Hector Moreno, Hoss, Jason, Kleinator, Chromius, Larch, Lord Touch Me, Lord Ulbert Elaine Oddle, Lou Says Ollie, Majima, Mad C, Marcos, Mr. Shoes, Mindless Wrath, Minnow 13, Myrtis, Nefarious Potion, Primus 11, Sasuga Einsamer, Sebastian, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Surge, Sparkly Unicorn, Vash Hawkeye, Zoggo, Bane of a Lot, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, over and out.